Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're back with the ladies of Lapeef Jr. Now, today they are reacting to a video. They're reacting to a reaction video of a woman who is talking about what she brings to the table. I cut out the part about the reaction because at a certain point it just gets too meta. It's like you're watching a reaction of a reaction. We don't need all that. Besides, you guys have seen plenty of stuff, plenty of videos. There's plenty of stuff out there on YouTube about what I bring to the table as far as women. All right. Most importantly, I want to focus on what the ladies think because again, this is an environment where there are no men here. So from what I've been told, women tend to hold each other accountable when it's just women around. When there are no men there, that's when women hold each other accountable. So that's what we're looking for. And it wouldn't bother me if they held men accountable either, because like I said, sometimes that happens. Like I said, this is just a show with ladies involved and there are ladies present. The only thing that well, there is a point where you can go too far as far as them holding men accountable, because if there's no representation there, then that just gets that seems to be kind of overkill. So we're gonna go ahead and get it started, and let's get the ladies' opinion on what the original video was about as far as what a woman brings to the table.
What are your thoughts? It's a lot to unpack there.
Very much so.
So what are you guys' thoughts on that video? It was so much that he said. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think so. Shane Monet, I think, like you said, he had a lot to say, and so there's a lot to unpack. I think the only point that he made that I agreed with was that men don't care about a woman's level of education. Unless they're the type of man, or their income, right? Unless they're the type of man who's interested in a 50-50 partnership, it typically isn't of interest.
Even then, it's usually not that much of an interest because the guy is for the most part, guys are willing to work with you as long as you have, as long as you can support yourself. Now, more average dudes are going to look for, an equal contribution as far as, what they call 50-50. I don't necessarily call that 50-50. To me, a 50-50 relationship is about effort. Like the money is, the money's the money. But at the end of the day, everything's not about money. Like it takes more than money to make a relationship work. There are things inside of the dynamics of a relationship that you don't get paid for, but they still need to get done. So, but yeah, let's just keep going because yeah.
To most men. However, I think the idea that women are the table comes from the strong, independent woman. It seems to be super disingenuous. Like we're going to pretend like wars weren't waged over women, that, the trophy wife trope hasn't been a huge marker to male success. The value of what a woman represents is not super important to society. Like it just seems disingenuous to end on that note, right? That this is an independent woman thing and that, women are like essentially partners to show up at the table with.
I'm completely lost in what she's talking about. She mentioned about independent women being disingenuous, but then immediately starts talking about men fighting wars. Okay.
As opposed to what womanhood represents in society.
I was gonna say again that was a whole a lot to unpack. But one of the things that I'm noticing a pattern of is this huge pushback against I'm gonna just say Black women because that's typically what we're talking about, from Black men in regards to this, I don't know what it is, this desire to just want to put Black women in their place. Like, and that's kind of what I hear is on the women's side, this pushback to show how great we are, like in terms of how to prove ourselves, how we show up, like, oh, we're not what you think. We're the most educated. We're making a lot of money. We're doing all of these things. So it's that pushback to kind of prove I'm worthy, I'm good enough. And then I think on the men's end, that their pushback is with the no, you're not as great as you think you are.
She's talking about the gender war. The gender war is dumb. Yeah, because you can't build a community off the gender war. It's designed. Its whole premise is we need to separate. Got to move forward.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of like the dialogue that I kind of see from that video, is that from the woman's perspective, the need to prove herself, like, from hearing a lot of the rhetoric about how Black women ain't ish, you know what I mean?
Where is this rhetoric coming from? Because it's literally what she just said is that the women are saying that I am good enough, I am here, you need to see me. And the men are saying, you're not as great as you pretend to be. You need to humble yourself. So what we have here is, because again, it's a gender war. So what you really have here is a chicken and egg scenario, right? The men are saying, yeah, we already see you. You don't need to keep bragging about stuff. That gets old. But the women are saying, well, no, you don't see me. That's why I have to say all these things. Stop trying to tear me down. It's chicken and egg. Honestly, like I said, if we can't move past this stuff, divorce rates are going to continue to plummet, and men and women are not. Our kids are the ones that suffer. Plain and simple.
To say, these are the things that I accomplished. These are the things that I bring to the table. But then from the male perspective of saying, yes, you bring in all of these things to the table, which means nothing to me. And so yeah. I don't know how to kind of process that in the sense of it means nothing to me in relation to all of the things that you've accomplished, which are great, means absolutely nothing, which to me is kind of like, oh, wow.
Okay, so here's what it is. The piece that she's missing is the fact that most women they prefer their man to be the breadwinner, head of the household, right? And the breadwinner at the same time, because those things are not mutually exclusive. But here's the caveat. Men don't have a problem with that. But the problem comes in is that, okay, well, you listed all these accomplishments, but you still want me to be the breadwinner. Okay, well, how do those things help me be the breadwinner? How does your career help me be the breadwinner? How do your degrees help me be the breadwinner? The answer is they don't. That's why men don't care about that stuff, because ultimately it doesn't benefit us. I mean, if we're married, that's a discussion for later, because if if your career is built during the marriage, then yeah, guys don't care about that. But if we're just dating, I don't have access to your money because you're expecting me to pay for most of the dates. So how does your career help me do that? It doesn't. That's why men don't care.
Or the other aspect of it as, this means nothing to me because I'm looking for something else outside of what it is you're providing. So I don't know, but there's a lot that I can unpack what he said, but I'm gonna let somebody else go.
You might put all your eggs in one basket, and then you find out.
Oh, sorry.
It's a lot. They record a live show, so you do it live. That stuff like that happens. Not a big deal though.
Me too.
I hit something on my phone and then it started going off. My hand swiped it, because I talk with my hands.
But whatever you said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when they out here talking like that. But I'll say this. First and foremost, Black women be the most desired or undesirable. Like, you just go where you celebrate it, period. Like, somebody wants
I agree 100%.
Somebody somewhere. And if that's the attitude that he has towards you, then you just go where the attitude is not, right?
But there is a caveat there. The majority of Black women are being desired by Black men. So, I mean, yeah. I guess she's trying to break it down as don't go with that guy. But that guy, I think, has a YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken, at least a TikTok or something, because it looked like he was in the format, probably a TikTok, just from the format of how the video was set up. Like I said, again, go check out the original on Lapeef JR. You guys see what I'm talking about.
So leave him where he is. But aside from that, a lot of men nowadays are saying, like, we don't care if a woman's educated or what she brings to the table. But on the flip side, they'll be like, they don't want to pay all the bills either. So it does matter, right, to some. And then also there's so much.
It matters if you're sustainable. If you're an adult, you need to have a job to be able to sustain yourself. Because again, average guy, I'm not trying to pay your bills. Man, if we ain't married, I'm definitely not doing that. So that's what that comes from. You need to have a job or a career. We don't necessarily care. We don't put too much interest in it as long as you're not using your sexuality to get paid. Outside of that, not really. We don't. It's not, because again, there's no benefit to us.
That he said. Also, if a woman does not have something, then she's going to be looked at as a bum, or y'all not going to pick women up off the street and put her in position to work for a business that a lot of guys don't have, who have the mentality. So this is, go where you celebrate. I don't even really have a thought on that, because I don't think much about people who don't think highly of me or us. So.
Well, the other thing too that I don't like is this narrative that's being put. I think men look at when women are saying these are the things that I do as a situation of engagement, like to fight. You know what I'm saying? Which
Gender
I
war.
think that to some degree, don't get me wrong, I do think some women weaponize, their education and how much money they make. I've definitely have come across that situation, like feeling like, oh, because I make this and you can't tell me, that kind of stuff. So I have come across that.
Does that count as? Would you consider that being as entitled? I don't know. That sound off in the comments if you think that sounds like the woman is entitled. But well, yeah, because that's a good question there. Because if it's something that the guys in general don't care about, then why do you keep bringing it up? Unless, of course, you just don't know that we don't care about it. But yeah.
But like, I don't like a lot of times the narrative that's being pushed or these stats that are being thrown out without people necessarily doing like the research. So the part that he was saying, he was correct in saying the fact that Black women are not earning, the highest earners. We're not.
Nope.
So he was definitely correct in that. But in terms of him saying that the doctoral level degree is the metric that is being used in terms of education, and women, Black women may have the least amount. But if we want to extrapolate that data, they are pursuing higher degrees more so than men. Period.
Yes, yeah,
Black
that's
men,
true.
when we're pulling out Black stats, like in general, overall, just across the board, women are obtaining.
There's a problem with that though, and I'll address it. Well, we're almost done here. I'll save it for the end.
Degrees at a higher rate than men. And this is across all ethnicities. But if we look at Blacks in general, and compare to like what women are doing, like Black males, I kind of looked this information up. It overall is 9.2% of Black people that are getting doctoral degrees. But when we look at Black males, they're at 7.1%. Black females are at 10.9%. So what she's saying is accurate in that regard. You know what I mean? And so when we are listening to these stats and somebody's just throwing them out. And if it's in line with what you think, you're automatically going to go for it. And so I just think that we do need to do a better job of making sure that when we're, quoting stats, that we're understanding them for one, and then kind of giving that information to people for them to look up on their own if they're interested in it, because I pulled that from the National Center of Education Statistics. So it was just an easy search to just kind of confirm.
Okay, what she's talking about, she has some valid points here, but the problem is that if you're making the guy she's talking about, he did some research, obviously, and he found some stuff that confirmed what he was talking about. I don't see a problem with that. If there's data out there that contradicts it, then it's up to you as the viewer to go and find it and present it, which is what she did. Kudos to her for actually going and looking up the data points that she's talking about. But the problem, again, the issue is that a lot of times on a show like this, like, did she see that video beforehand? Is that how she knew to look up those stats? Because again, if we're on a live podcast and somebody starts spitting these stats out at you, you don't have time to go and look this stuff up. You got to do it later. And let's be honest, most cases, most people are too lazy to do that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, kudos to her because she went and looked this stuff up. I've done the research myself, but again, I got a YouTube channel just devoted to relationships, so I have to stay on top of this stuff. But if you're just an average person on the panel and a live show at that, you're not, yeah.
Whether what he was saying was true or not. And even seeing what she was saying was true or not, but I don't know, that just kind of bothers me. Like, that's my background is in education. So a lot of times when I'm hearing these things.
Okay. So my thoughts on the video, look, there's a lot. I think that there's a second part to this video because there's a lot of stuff that I was expecting them to get to, and they just didn't. It would seem like a lot of time wasted on talking about independent women and men fighting wars, which wasn't really related to the video that they watched. But the point I wanted to address earlier was the education piece, right? It was because, again, I'm going to insert, because black women definitely 100% pursuing higher education. The problem is that those degrees are not translating into income. And at the end of the day, most women still want the man to be the breadwinner. So what is the purpose of getting these higher degrees? A lot of times it's women who are avoiding getting into the real world. They're going to say, oh, I'm going to go back to college because I'm just not ready to face life. The other issue that comes up is that, again, we're going to insert a card here because that net worth video, that's why I said that's why we need to get that done, is because secondary education, graduate education is not free, and there are less scholarships for it. So what does that mean? Student loans is what it means. So yeah, again, a lot of women are going to get these graduate degrees, but they're not translating into the income. So you end up in debt with this shiny new piece of paper, but you have nothing to show for it. You don't go in, the majority of the time, we're not going into the fields that we got a degree in. Well, what was the point in taking out all those massive loans then? For that nice piece of paper. And women fall victim to this because, again, if the average black man still makes more than the average black woman, okay, well, what was the point of getting all those degrees? It looks good on a resume, but if you're not translating it into an actual career, the only thing you did was make yourself less valuable. You just brought down your net worth considerably. This is what I mean when I talked about, sitting down with people who making $100,000 a year and they're living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, because they got all this massive amount of debts and oh my God, it gives me dry mouth just thinking about all that debt. And in most cases, the women are expecting a man to come in and take care of it. No. I'm telling you right now, ladies, men are going to say, they're just going to say no. Now, am I telling you that you shouldn't have a career, you shouldn't go make a lot of money? Absolutely not. You just have to understand, just like everything else, you have to weigh the pros and cons of it. So if you want a career, if you're a career woman, okay, and you want to get married. Okay, well, you need to be open to the idea that you might have to be the breadwinner in the relationship. But remember what I said before: being the breadwinner and being head of the household are two different things. A lot of women think that's a lot of women conflate the two and think that, well, I'm the breadwinner, so I'm the head of the household. No, a lot of men get that wrong too. No, just because you make a lot of money doesn't make you a good leader. Leadership skills make you a good leader. Plain and simple. So look, we're gonna. I suspect that there's gonna be another episode of this, a part 2. If there is, you can bet we're gonna review it. So I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right.